Okay, is Ryan on?
Ryan is on, yes.
Okay. Ryan, do you want to remain clerk for now?
I'd be willing to do so. That's asked of me.
Lisa?
Say it again, Ryan.
Say it again, Ryan, you weren't clear.
Yes, I'll remain clerk unless anybody else wants to jump in.
Okay. So someone.
I second that.
Okay. Nomination and a second, so roll call vote will be Jeremiah.
Aye.
Ryan,
Aye.
you can say, okay, I am say yes, and Dave
Aye, yes.
and Jeff.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Ryan, very much. Okay. That, yeah, let's do minutes. Ryan, do you have do you have motions for the minutes?
Yes, I do. Those were, let me just pull it up here, unless someone has the date for me. This is the May 2nd, correct?
April 18th.
April 18th.
Oh, geez, we're way back. My bad. I move to approve the minutes dated April 18th, 2023.
Second. Okay, we want you to have a second. Any changes or discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Jeremiah?
Aye.
Ryan?
Aye.
And I'm aye. Dave?
Aye.
And Jeff?
Jeff can't vote.
I wasn't here for the minutes, so
Okay, so we have 3 ayes, so 4 ayes and a and the abstention, because he wasn't at the meeting.
I didn't read them.
Yeah, well, there's that, so. Okay, so for Crestwood, did you say Luke is not coming, or you don't know if he's coming?
No, I don't believe he's coming.
All right. All right. Okay, well, let's do 15, 17, 19 Crestwood Road. That's an A&R, and some information on that. You give us a little direction.
Why don't I speak? My name is Jim Lyle. I'm a lawyer at Aaron Fox Schiff in Boston. I represent Mr. Driscoll as one of the abutters to 17 Crestwood Road. The other abutter is actually Mr. Driscoll's brother and sister-in-law, John Driscoll. So these are the easterly and westerly abutters to 17 Crestwood Road. And after a trial in the land court judge determined that certain portions of the common boundaries need to be adjusted. So the A&R plan is effectively a boundary line adjustment wherein the land court has determined that ownership has been acquired by adverse possession to certain chunks, if you will, along the common boundary by Mr. Driscoll and his wife, Michelle, and the other Mr. Driscoll, John Driscoll, and his wife, Susan. And the land court has made the decision, and Mrs. Thornton, who owns 17 Crestwood, has accepted the decision, as is her counsel, and all have petitioned before you for the approval of a boundary line adjustment on an A&R plan. And I've heard some of the dialogue here prior to the meeting, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. But as a matter of law, it's been ruled that the abutters now own these areas of land. And frankly, I don't know how else you could draw the plan. There's no other way to depict it. And so I always say as a lawyer that subdivision is not zoning, and I can appreciate that you may have some concerns about the status of the 17 Crestwood property. I don't represent that owner, but the law is that the Driscolls, plural, have acquired ownership by adverse possession to the areas shown in that plan. This is a mere boundary line adjustment. It's been a very costly and lengthy process to get to this point. And as a practical matter, because of the use of the properties, which is how the Driscolls acquired ownership, nothing practically will change. The people will still use the lawn areas, the play area, the other side of the fence area, as they always have for the last 30+ years. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have, but we feel this is a relatively perfunctory exercise at this point. The land court has ruled and ownership has vested in my clients.
You want
Yeah, Attorney Lyle, so can you, because we have a lot of people on Zoom and whatever, can you explain to the public what adverse possession is and how it gets enacted in the
Sure.
context of this particular?
In Massachusetts, if you have exclusive, open, exclusive, and possession and use of a piece of property for 20 or more years, you have a claim to title by adverse possession. And the problem is that the deeds and the registry, the deeds and the records of the registry of deeds do not match up with the reality that somebody has acquired through their use for 20 or more years, ownership to that property. And the A&R plan is merely an effort to get the registry records to now conform with the actual ownership of the property in reality. In this case, as ruled by the land. So again, it's exclusive, open, notorious, exclusive possession of 20 or more years of a piece of property. You own it.
So in the case of this one, based on the LJR plan, it looks like where a playground was or a play set was, that because the play set was put, looks like 16 feet onto the number 17 of Butter's property, and they did not object to that for 20 years. Mr. Driscoll was able to seize that land from the owner there.
The reality is that the 17 Crestwood owner put up a fence and folks thought the fence was the boundary line. And so the play set was there.
A mistake and
It was a mutual mistake by both sides.
right, but one side took advantage of it is what you mean, right?
Well, I wouldn't say take advantage of it. They used it as their own,
They just
mowed it, cared for it, and now they own it according to Massachusetts law. So that's a play set. The other side, the fellow put underground sprinklers in, has groomed it, planted it, and cared for it as his own.
Who put that fence in? On that side, on the west side?
On the west side, Mrs. Thornton put that fence in to surround her pool, and everything to the other side of that fence was thought to have been owned by the Driscolls at 19 Crestwood. And they cared for it, nurtured the land, put underground sprinklers, put all sorts of landscaping in there, and treated it as their own. And that's the law in Massachusetts.
Okay, so you're an attorney, so maybe you could help us here, but why does this commission have to abide by an A&R that basically violates the zoning bylaws? Why do we, I should say, as a body, have to approve that?
Well, respectfully, there's no other way to draft the plan in conformity with what the court has ruled. So
Those are two different things. One is you or LJR or a PLS is bound to draw it this way. But then there's another argument that there's a group of people that has nothing to do with the land court. We adhere to the zoning bylaws of North Reading. And if I'm asked to approve an A&R that violates 3 of our zoning bylaws, meaning they were in compliance before, and then you're going to come to me and say, hey, here's a new plan, and I violate 3 different zoning bylaws.
well, I think the zoning issues are a little bit nuanced and a little more complicated than that. But Mrs.
I think
Thornton,
they're pretty straightforward. You had over 40,000 square foot for this middle lot 17. Now you're in the 39. On both sides, on the right side, or call it the east side, you've gone from 25 compliant side yard setback down to 7.2 feet. That's less than a shed. We don't even let a shed that close to a lot line. And so on the other side, it went from 27 and now you're at somewhere on 17. So that's 1 strike, 2 strikes, 3 strikes. And I'm just trying to understand why I have to sign off on that plan.
okay, again,
Tell me again as a lawyer, why I, a resident, volunteer at North Reading, have to sign off on that plan.
because the court has so ruled that they own the property. And again, I think you'd be very concerned if there was structures within the setback, permanent structures.
There
And
are
again, well, there's a place set.
Like I said, we're talking about a house. It's a house that you.
The house is not moved. None of these structures have
Exactly.
moved in 40 years. All we've done is, we have moved technically the lot line.
This
But
is
it's
in front of the ZBA on every 2
This
weeks.
is not the ZBA though.
I get that.
This is the planning commission, right? And as an A&R plan, I don't know what you would have my clients do. There's no other way for them to show on a plan what the court has ruled they own. And for us to get something in the registry of deeds, so that ownership will follow the registry of deeds. And I think the integrity of the registry of deeds is important. People ought to be able to find where ownership lies by researching registry of
Did the
deeds.
judge, did the judge understand that doing this would violate all our zoning bylaws?
Of course.
Are
Of
you
course,
sure
but this-
is that in the decision? Is
No.
it in the decision? It's a pretty lengthy one, but does it acknowledge that it violates?
Well,
Well, wait a minute, the judge did kind of protect himself in this, because he said that to provide a plan that was acceptable to the.
And I throw myself in the mercy of this board. How else would you have the plan drawn that would be acceptable? The reality is, as a matter of law, these folks own the areas depicted on the plan.
So I
There's
would-
nothing else I can do.
Okay, well, we've run into this before in different situations and we've sent people back out to us and go figure this out. So they go out and they talk to the neighbor on this side and this side or across the street or here. And they buy a piece of land and they manage to make the lot conform and they come back before us and we get their A&R.
This is not a development proposal. We have existing homes. And the law is the law.
What I just described to you happens all the time. There's a lot that's been sitting there for a long time and they buy a piece from this side and they buy it from this side and they make it into a buildable lot. It's something that's done.
This board is not creating any zoning irregularities.
This board or you?
The folks have done it over 20 years, and probably over 30 years. So that's the reality. Nothing's changed.
Willingly.
Pardon me?
Willingly. Like, what I mean is, your hardship that you're trying to describe here and not having, us having to approve this thing is one that was created by both owners on both sides. You went onto another person's property or your client and you built a play set, it looks like, or whatever it's called out there. And you basically seized 467 square feet of your neighbor's property, and then through a legal maneuver called adverse possession, which is a head scratcher in the United States of America. I don't even understand that. You've then maneuvered to take it.
There's been no maneuvering, with all due respect. This has been,
Black, maybe.
adverse possession has been on the books since the beginning of Massachusetts.
Sir, I just say maneuver if you don't like the word, but to make the effort to file with Massachusetts land court and spend all that thousands of dollars and sit in front of a judge and all this and endure all that is a maneuver. You know, it's some
No,
sort
it was a
of motion.
disagreement among
Some
neighbors,
sort of
and
motion.
the court ruled. And they didn't, and the abutters didn't get all that they thought they should get. So there was a little bit of a, if you looked at the
Yeah, I
plan.
saw it before, but
Well, hold on a minute. Okay, Dave, I think you made a point here.
I've definitely made my point, so I don't want.
This
I
was
don't
not,
want to
but
belabor
with
it.
all due respect,
I apologize if I'm passionate about, it, but I'm just, I
But
don't
with all due
understand.
respect,
I don't understand people.
this is not a land grab. These things happen all the time, whether they be innocently or should somebody intentionally decide that they're
I
going
think
to.
they're all innocent
Hold
in
on.
many, okay, Mr. Chairman, just let me finish and then I think they're all innocent, you know, a lot of times, most of the time even, but the fact that you can take something that you innocently made a mistake on and profit from that by taking the land in 20 years is just a head scratcher to me, but that's all I'll say, Mr. Chairman.
20 years is not 20 months, you know, and when somebody
I
cares
understand
for
that, but
something,
there are a lot of
mows it, plants it, waters it,
Yeah.
improves it, I mean, that's the law in Massachusetts. And I didn't make the law.
I'm very clear on that. I've been doing this a long time and I've seen plenty of these things come down the road. So I don't have any question about what you're saying. My question right now is more along the lines of what is our responsibility to the town based on what you presented to me? So I think what I would really like to do is maybe ask our town council if there's any liability for us or as far as, because if we approve an A&R that makes that lot non-conforming, we basically devalue the lot. So now that we devalue the lot, we're responsible for the devaluation.
You haven't devalued the lot. The circumstances have diminished the size of the lot. And whether that has a material impact on the value of that residence, I would tend to doubt. But it is now a legally non-conforming lot. I agree.
I think that's the part that I have problems with, because we see this all the time, whether it's just,
Right.
it's not always adverse possession, but it's two different lots saying, hey, I'm gonna give you some of mine, and this happens all the time. We actually have one on the agenda tonight.
Yeah.
And that's fine, because then they're both still compliant. So my objection, just respectfully, is about creating a non-compliant lot. That's what it's all about. I don't
So
need to
what I
go back.
would like to do is I would like to, if I could carry this forward to the next meeting and give us a chance for us to petition town council for an opinion on it. So to make sure that what we're doing is in compliance with the law as far as we understand it and our council understands.
I have no objection to you, obviously, consulting with the council, and I'd be happy to speak to them.
Okay, that'll be fine. And I think that would give us all a level of comfort to know that what we're doing is the right thing. And that protects the town and protects us, and I imagine you guys as well.
Okay, and I again would just like to emphasize in leaving that this is, as a practical matter, it doesn't change the use of the lots, the structures, there's no new buildings going on. It's recognizing the status quo.
I
That's all we're doing.
I understand, you're very clear, and I understand everything that you said, and I understand the process. We're doing this, like I said, for a while. And, but again, I know sometimes it's better to draw a little line and wait, make sure you have that our attorney says, yeah, go ahead and do that.
Okay, I'd be happy again to speak to council, and I'll leave my card with the clerk, and we look forward to seeing you next month.
That'll be fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Your explanations were well done. Okay, so I think everybody understands where we're at.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Yes,
Or they ought to sign something that waives constructive approval, because on the 21st day, the plan will become approved if we don't act on it. So if you're going to continue it to the next meeting, I think that's something we would need to do. We would need to have something in writing from them, consenting to extend the deadline for the final action.
okay, you understand what you.
We are long-term residents, we want to be cooperative, we will consent.
Okay.
To the-
We do something, right? I like that.
For the consideration.
All right.
This might be right, I'd love to speak to the council.
Okay, Dave.
Yeah, so do we want to do a motion and just do that?
You want to just, I again, some of the petitioners give I agree to extension.
Yeah, as soon as you get it. The best ways.
Yeah, go. Attorney Johnston over there didn't inquire with him. You were all over it.
No, it is a concern. We need to, someone, clarification. That's fine.
I was gonna know that you're found with what they will do.
So then, yeah, and I gotta get.
And then you're there.
Anything goes wrong, they have to.
Do you want me to please?
Very unique.
I believe you, go ahead.
Yes, please. Well, we're gonna be, would you like to-
Well, you still have to sit back.
So, I think
What is this?
Get out of Yeah, that's fine. So we would be here to accept.
So you'd be here on Tuesday.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Chairman.
We'll send it to June 7th, and that's your-
I can make a suggestion.
Is it okay for me to
Sure.
Yeah, bye.
Well, just mentioned. Agree.
Okay. And if you get town council, and I'd be happy to speak to them. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jim.
very much. Danielle, do you need a vote to set up this extension or?
A motion,
Yeah, to accept the extension and also to continue hearing.
are you gonna read it or?
Sure. So I'll lead off with the signed. Petitioners for 15, 17, and 19 Crestwood Road and are hereby agree to an extension of time for final action on the submitted Form A and plan until June 8th, 2023. and signed by Attorney Lyle. So I guess the motion would be, that you're going to
Accept.
vote to accept the requested extension of time. On this committee.
So moved, right?
Yeah, go ahead. Dave.
Yeah, so moved.
Okay.
Second, second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Ryan?
Aye.
Okay, John, aye. I'll say aye. Dave?
Aye.
Yeah.
I'm abstaining, only because I don't know enough about a few things I just spoke with.
Okay, so.
This would just be a continue.
Oh, just to continue, yeah, okay, yeah, sure, aye, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
continue
sorry,
to
yeah,
allow.
thank
Yeah,
you guys
no problem.
contact-
Yeah, thank you. Just to get
Yeah,
it. Yeah, no, I get it.
You're fine.
Yeah.
I was,
Okay.
it took me a whole
Okay,
term
so
to get.
we have the item, so we're all set, okay? Did you?
And you continued it to June sixth?
June sixth.
I'll fix it, Raising.
No, his letter good to the, that way.
Oh,
we
gotcha.
do it on the sixth, is the final
We can
day,
mail it.
with the clerk, town clerk, and we need a couple days, after each thing.
Yep.
For 2 or 3 days. A
Yep.
lot of times if it's gonna be on a meeting, it's on Tuesday, we have the closing date as a Friday. So the time to
Sure, it makes sense, yep.
file it, yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, Nine Fox Run A and R, Nine Fox Run Lane, A and R. You have somebody for that, should we have a presentation on that?
$9.
We can do it anyway.
Pardon?
We can do it anyway.
Are you guys box? No.
Nine Fox Run.
You don't want.
So you gotta have
Yeah, we
your-
can do it.
We can still do it. Basically, they're taking that small triangle of land, that's labeled as lot 2A, and it's being conveyed, from lot 2 to, lot 2B, lot 1. And the lot lines are changing in the back, but there's no new change in the frontage, so. Entitled to, you know.
You guys, please, excuse me, you gotta talk, you go in the hallway. Because we have Zoom on.
We're kind of mic'd up, so it's
This mic will pick everything up and they won't be able to hear what's going on in the meeting. Sorry.
no problem.
Okay. All right, so you recommend A and R, there's no issues with this one?
Yeah, there are no issues, and yes, I
Okay.
would recommend endorsement.
Ryan, you wanna do a, you got
Just
your-
ask one question.
Yes, go ahead.
I have no problem with it either, but Danielle, just if looking at our kind of A&R rules, I just want to understand it, and it would help and benefit everybody reading the plans, but in it says, when an existing lot line is being changed, the existing line shall be drawn with a shaded broken line, and a new lot line shall be drawn with a solid line. So all we have is solid lines here. The other one is kind of shaded out, but it's not broken. All existing and proposed lot lines shall be so labeled. So again, I don't, as a person who looks at plans all the time, I don't need every lot line labeled existing, but where they're making the change, it would be helpful if they went by the guidelines in our own zoning. you know.
They should.
Yeah,
They should.
So if you can just make that note, and this one's not Luke, this is who, but Luke's on the other one, it's the exact same thing. This is Boston survey, I guess. I would still, if this was a Mylar in front of us, I wouldn't waste a Mylar in 8 sets or 8 sheets. I'd sign it, but I just like, it's a rule, like, it's just something we should try to start adhering to.
Yeah, they
That's my
should.
comment,
It's harder to read.
but the plan's fine.
Okay, Ryan, you have a motion for us?
I'm sorry, I'm not able to pull it up right now. I just pulled up the plan and now I can't get the motion to load.
I can do it.
Okay, that's okay, Ryan, well, David, do it. Go ahead, Dave.
I'll do it, Ryan, thanks.
Oh,
I got it. Right. I move that the Community Planning Commission vote to endorse as approval not required Plan entitled Plan of Land, 9 Fox Run Lane, North Reading, Mass, dated July 5th, 2022, drawn by Boston Survey, Inc.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Jeff. All right,
Come on.
okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, gonna call for a roll call vote. Ryan?
Aye.
Jeremiah? Aye. Okay. Myself, aye. Dave?
Aye.
And Jeff? Aye. Okay. Okay, so that is, 5 in favor, no opposed. Okay. Alrighty. I think we got a couple minutes for table, so,
Violations, Jerry's.
yeah,
It just.
not right now.
Okay, more later.
Yeah.
I was.
Okay, the, Danielle, the accessory dwelling unit bylaw.
I put it on again just because we've had it kind of as a running item every time. I don't have anything new in there. I don't know if you wanted to discuss the last draft, but we could just pull out of the last meeting folder. At the last meeting, Leanne had asked if she could have a copy of the working draft. I did send it to her. I don't know if you wanted to have continued discussion on that tonight or.
My understanding is that we kind of put it on them to
Yeah.
begin looking at it and giving it the
It was
feedback.
them. I was
Select board, yeah.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't at
Yeah.
the last meeting.
Yeah, well, yeah, we tried to, that's exactly right. We sent it up to the select board and we were waiting for comment from them. As to what they, if they had any questions about what we had done and, if they needed any further explanation, or if they wanted us to come to them. And, well, they're probably just busy, but they didn't, respond to it at this point, from what I understand.
Is this body though gonna vote on it, or how is that being in?
Well, I don't think, I want to vote on it until I hear what their comments are. Because
But we ultimately will have to vote on
the
it.
reason there's 5
Yeah.
members on the board is because you get 5 different opinions, and you may find somebody knows something or figure something out that you didn't get. So I would like to give them an
So you're giving
opportunity
them
to
an opportunity
comment.
to give some comments, okay?
Yeah. I'd
And
to
like
give-
also, Mr. Griffin's new, so he needs to get familiar too
Right,
with, the bylaw, so, or the draft.
yeah, so, yeah, should, we get a minute, or you get a little time to read that ADU bylaw. It's, and we've been working on it for a long time, but it's kind of difficult to get your hands around because there's so many, facets to it, so.
Is there a deadline for the select board?
No, I mean, just from a process standpoint, basically, what would happen next, once we get whatever feedback we're hoping to get from the select board is, in order to put it on the warrant for the next town meeting in October, we would need to schedule a public hearing.
Public hearing.
And at that public hearing, the CPC can vote or not to make a recommendation to town meeting. The CPC wouldn't vote on adopting the bylaw. The CPC would just be voting on a recommendation, but you're not required to make a recommendation if you either didn't agree on one or you didn't want to make one. A recommendation could be made at town meeting. You just need to make a report at town meeting. So that would just be the process.
Well, for now, I think I'd like to wait on the select board to give them an opportunity to comment on it. So perhaps we could just send them a note saying that you had a chance to talk about this, and if you do any recommendations or any questions you might have, please send back to us. Okay, being a little past 8 o'clock, we have a continued public hearing for the 17 Anthony Road and Hayden Street.
Sorry.
What is it, feedback?
They've had jury duty all day, so.
So,
You're forgiven.
Yeah.
so essentially what happened with this is they asked for an extension
They have asked for an extension, not to a particular date, but just, today we were communicating and they have some engineering concerns to respond to. I had received the peer review letter from GM2, our peer review engineer. I had some concerns that it was not as explicit as it could have been about the concerns, and I would have liked the concerns to be a little bit more fully fleshed out. I met with GM2 about that concern, and they issued a second letter, which is now, it's in the share file and it's posted online. It's a bit more extensive. So what the applicant would like to do is have an opportunity to meet with GM2 and the town engineer and to try to work out those remaining engineering issues before they present new revisions. To the
Yeah. I think you've got drainage issues and water quality, quantity issues, through how they're handling them, so. I think that needs to be, I think we need to let them do their work and get this figured out before we go any further with it, so.
Right. And currently we have an extension for final action until June 30th.
Yeah.
So we're fine for the next meeting. Around the next meeting, I think we should try to make an estimate for how much longer they need and
Yeah.
make sure we have
Until we
adequate
get
time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, so for, that's all we're really gonna do, we'll open and close this public hearing, because we have no new information, and we're waiting on them at this point, so.
So are you using June 8th as the?
So June 6th is the date. I would recommend continuing to June 6th. They didn't give us a requested date, but let's continue
Yeah,
it to the next
maybe.
hearing, just in interest of keeping this moving forward.
Ryan, want to do it or?
Why don't you go ahead and do it?
Okay, I'll do Ryan. I moved
Okay.
that the,
Oh, so that was the sixth? Oh,
yeah, sorry. Are you
Are
good
you
or
gonna
you want
read
me
it?
to do it?
Yeah, was that June sixth we agreed on?
Yes.
Yeah,
Mr. Chairman, I move the Community Planning Commission vote to continue the public hearing for 17 Anthony Road in 346R Haverhill Street till Tuesday, June 6, 2023.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
second.
Second by Jeremiah. Okay, all those in favor, I'll roll call, Ryan?
Aye.
And Jeremiah? And I'm aye. Dave?
Aye.
And Justin? Okay. So that is continued to, so the 6th, I guess, and then, at which point we'll reevaluate where we're at with it, and see if we need to extend it any further. That's the main one. How much longer do you need to do? They do have a lot of issues here they're working on, and hopefully they'll make it happen. So.
Is there a time that they have to notify us? As you all know, we've been here over and over, and then they postpone and they're not ready, and
Now, would you please just state your name? and-
Joanne Herrick, 43 Anthony Road.
Thank you very much.
Is there a certain amount, I mean, do they just call it, 6 o'clock and say we're not ready and we're
Well,
all,
we didn't get a lot of those on this. I think we just put it in today or
Yeah,
This afternoon.
yeah,
this afternoon. Yeah,
they're trying to wear us down.
It's not like we didn't, we had a lot. I think we actually tried to get a lot of notes, but if they're not coming, they're not coming.
Right.
And, nothing we can do about that except admonish them that they need to be a little more upfront about their timing.
And they called, they can call the office though, right?
Yeah.
If you, so you don't have to drag yourself down here, just call on the day of, that's usually when they do it.
Okay.
And it'll save you, you can finish dinner.
We also
And that's,
put it on the website.
Oh, okay,
We usually will change the agenda.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, because it even pops up for us, it change an agenda, it just pops up like that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you,
Yeah, we do appreciate everybody coming too. Thank you all very much for showing up.
appreciate it.
Because that, we get a lot of information out of you, and the information we got out of you is why they're not ready yet. So.
Thank you.
Yep. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And good luck.
Thank you.
They go to way down.
We'll see.
That's the mission.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
one of our favorite subjects, here, Amber and Priscilla Wilson.
Soon to be more favorite subjects. is.
We would like it to be, we would like to be.
Oh,
okay. That's what we like.
Excellent.
Read that right.
Us as well.
I could note that, this little beauty was mountain biking right in that area last weekend. So
Oh, really?
it's sensitive right now. Rocky trails.
In Harold Parker?
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as it wasn't on the road itself. I wouldn't know anything about that. All right,
Okay, would you say your name and
yep, John Bulbrick, Bulbrick Engineering Construction, Danvers, Massachusetts.
Yep.
I'm here with Brendan Piper, also with Bulbrick Engineering Construction, Danvers. This project is coming back around. Spoke with Danielle and the town department heads and we figured it would be
I was headed for it.
close.
Thank you.
We figured it'd be worth everybody's while to meet and talk about the project and kind of let you know what's coming your way. And just go over, you know, what we're looking at and what we're looking for and kind of our plans. So I'm sure you're aware, you know, this project's been around a while. There's been some legal issues that have been resolved. The current owner, we're under agreement to purchase the property and develop it ourselves. So we're civil engineers. We do this work all day, every day. We work with a lot of municipalities. We spoke with Danielle, and like I said, we talked to the department heads and kind of a general idea of what the town is thinking. So we wanted to kind of put our toe in your water and see if you guys had any opinions or things to think about as we develop our design. Did you, by any chance, anything else, share the preliminary?
Yes, so your
Okay.
two plan concepts and your cover
Yep.
letter, are in the share file.
Very good, okay. I don't know if anybody got a chance to take a look at that.
Yep.
Ultimately, in 2005, there was a standard subdivision conceptual drawing. I printed them out, but you guys have them up there. Can't remember the options offhand. It's a much larger plan. So as a baseline, this project originally got going on DCR owning Amber and Priscilla roads. Halchak Development got a permit and a notice of intent, a permit through DCR and a notice of intent through DEP to construct these roads with the intention of eventually, you know, creating a subdivision. So over time, two abutting properties have been acquired, which is part of this overall plan. So there's option B, have you to not utilize Amber and Priscilla roads. So I bring this up and I sent this to everybody so everybody can look at it. We're looking at both of these options and trying to see which one is feasible, right? Because Article 97 obviously takes a lot of time and can be a project killer. So we're looking at our options. Ideally, if we can use Amber and Priscilla, it will provide fire access to the park. It will also provide fire hydrants for the park's use to put out fires, obviously. It's kind of, it's like a no-brainer, but unfortunately, it just has a lot of legal hurdles to go through in order to get there. So, and then, like I said, option B is utilizing two abutting properties to have two separate subdivisions. Only issue being they'll be short and we will not be able to loop the water main. So those are our two options.
If they're short, the roads are short, it's not be required.
Say that again?
If the roads are short enough, it will not be required.
Yes, right, yeah. Yeah, I think we were just at the,
It's not that you can't, it's that you won't be required.
yes, yeah. Yeah, so we look for relief if we needed it.
Yep.
The option B would be the two separate subdivisions. There would be open space, ORC, the type of development. And obviously, the access to Harold Parker would not be the same. There's option A. So we're gonna talk to DCR and see I don't think they're involved at all really, but we need to talk to DCAM and the city council and stuff like that, town council, sorry. To see what we can do with the Article 97.
Well, obviously, one of the primary concerns on the solar, on the Amber Road side is that outcrop of ledge, which which can completely kill the site distance.
Yes, yeah,
There was an accident here this morning.
oh, yeah, we were talking to the police chief about that.
Yeah.
And he was suggesting, maybe a simple stop sign, because
Yeah,
having a four-way stop there would make a effective, between, what is that, North Street on the other side?
yeah, well, unfortunately, I think that really led to still be a problem. I actually got hit there myself, so they hit me there.
Yeah.
Coming by, because they can't see,
Yeah, right.
I can't see around the corner.
Yeah, and if you know you have a stop sign there and then some pre-warning,
Yeah, yeah.
stop sign ahead, I think that'd go a long way for traffic calming.
There's some vegetation there around the corner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's,
Question, does 97 being a state action, does that trigger a bunch of other state stuff, historical, mass, well, it wouldn't be mass highway, but all those kind of things that kind of can
Kind
knock
of.
you down?
kind of,
Yeah.
to give the general answer,
Basically.
MEPA, definitely MEPA.
Right.
And there's a no net loss policy. Yeah, it's a couple rings of fire, so
Big time.
we're looking into it and seeing what we can do.
Yep.
I would love to do that route, but it depends.
So explain to me too, what's the filing, like, what's the timeline, and when you look at it, what do they say is the baseline
Well,
for 97, like, what's the steps?
It could take up to a year. I'm not aware of all the steps.
Yeah.
I did one honestly about 10, 12 years ago. It's been a while. But it was an act through the state's Congress with DCAM pushing it through. And yeah, it took some time.
And it's asset management.
Yes.
Yeah, so they help you out or help the
Yeah.
client out?
Yep.
It's good.
Yeah, actually, the one I did was for a landfill that had been put onto other people's properties. So there was a dire need to rectify the
Yeah, do
situation.
something about it.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Any other questions or? Again, we were kind of keeping this low level,
Well, it was, of course, a lot of the damage was done before you got involved.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a significant reduction in greenery out there, and this clear cutting, just unnecessary tearing down of the forest there, so we would hope that there was enough of it done, so there wouldn't be too much more.
Yeah, it appears to be cleared for the original conceptual, subdivision plan. So again, it's difficult to walk away from that, right? Because it's cleared, there's a temporary waterway crossing. It's more or less prepped for a bridge crossing. There's a lot of things in motion.
Now, there's a water main tap there that was put in.
Oh, really? Okay.
Off of Haverhill Street.
Yeah. Yeah, the DPW was there working on that, so. I don't know if they brought any of it in any further than that.
Yeah, well, we're into that.
But I'd look into that because obviously, if more was done with that, I'm not sure that it got inspected, things may not be accepted.
Yeah,
So you're gonna wanna look into see what happened there. I have a lot of history on this one.
yeah, we're finding that out. We looked at this for health check back during COVID,
Yeah,
and it kind of went away and slipped away
yeah.
and we're back.
Just for the record though, our position on this was right at the very beginning. If you just come in and do it right, we'll help you.
Yeah.
Do it right. Don't try to go end around run. We'll try to do it by the book so that, because if you do that, you get a little more support, from the people that are trying to work with you.
Yeah, understood.
Ask a question, Mr. Chairman, too. You might know the answer because who knows everything about this one. So do the Leos still own the property right at the corner there? No, does that Leo still own that or? Is it Leo or what's
San Romeo.
Romeo, thank you.
Okay, I was like, real?
Eyes are needed to be checked. So on the Romeo property though, I know how the ledge, because I go around the corner all the time, it kind of really goes out into the street. I mean, is there a way to cut that back or work something out?
Private property.
What?
It's private property.
Yeah,
It is, but that's what I'm saying. Is there a way to work something out with?
we'll definitely look into it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, if it's as easy as removing the ledge and the sight line is restored, then. Yeah,
it's more just, you can almost see to the line, like if there was just enough to take out that little bump, you know, there'd be that much more of a sight line as you come around the
Yeah.
corner and make the street safe.
Yeah, we're in agreement.
Yeah, so, you know, things were done a little, some conflict in the beginning, and I think that conflict disappears, there might be some, you know, willingness to work.
Yeah.
You know,
Great.
so, but that really is that's really the primary problem, is the lack of it's a sight line there. You try to bring 8 or 10 houses out that driveway.
Yeah,
Come around that corner.
I'm nervous for you when pulling out there, honestly, in the morning or during, you know, you've seen it, right?
Yeah, it's usually
like up on Marblehead around that area, right? So you're cruising by there, right? People just come flying over that corner. The only thing that'll save you if someone's stopping to go on north,
Yeah,
there'll be a little bit of a
then they get.
tap of the brakes. Yeah, but it's a scary turn there.
So I think, you know, I don't see it as anything more than a standard engineering situation, you know, other than the 97, other than the fact you gotta work with that and.
Yeah, we're also looking into the possibility of creating this being like a private HOA roadway. If
Right.
97 can be avoided.
Right, yeah,
So-
see that in the.
That's the other option. So
Yeah.
we're exploring all options, trying to, you know, uncover all the stones and
Right,
execute.
right. Well, you know, yeah, I mean, I can see how that would work.
Yeah, with the Article 97 taking potentially a year to a year and a half and, you know, requiring state legislature to pass it. It might be something maybe interim, it might be something long term, you know, we're trying to feel out our options.
Can you still like, I guess it's a question mark for us, but can you design to the standards of the subdivision?
Yeah,
And then, what I mean is to stay private, I mean, you know, for HOA. So they don't necessarily, the goal would be either to not turn it over or to turn it over, but proceed as an HOA.
but the infrastructure, all of the infrastructure would have to be, I would suggest that all the
Yeah.
infrastructure be done strictly according to the town and inspected by the town.
Yeah, right.
So that if the time comes and they'd like to petition the town to take over the road,
Yeah, and now you've gone through 97, right?
Yeah.
it would be acceptable.
Yeah, yeah, definitely an agreement there. We would have it inspected and recorded as such. So
Right.
if anybody leaves, it's, you know, it's known.
Because it gives you that option of asking for acceptance, street
Yeah.
acceptance.
Yeah.
So,
And then did I read that the 97 transfer proceeded that we have to give up an appropriate amount of town land to compensate the conservation?
that was the other question is, do you have a place to acquire that?
Not yet, but yes, more options that we're looking into. But yes, the no net loss
Is
policy.
there any is there some floodplain on the Priscilla Road side? Is there down there?
There's certainly wetlands. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
floodplain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure about floodplain.
Obviously, that would also require some compensation.
Yeah.
Do you have time for adverse possession? That seems to be.
Pretty good. Let me check back in.
Yeah.
Your arrow is gray as mine, but yeah, the little property, it seems to work.
Doesn't work against the state.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, that's the one little, they make sure it's not against them. But everyone else, no problem.
Yeah,
Take the
exactly.
land.
So, okay, great.
Can I, sorry,
Yeah, go for it.
one thing in here, since we're all here, I was just wondering if you had any feedback on either of the two concepts, what, you know, pros, cons, concerns. I mean, it sounds like the preferred route would be to go with the plan that's already cleared in the more conventional subdivision plan, but I just didn't know if you had any other feedback on that, other than the sight lines, or whether you saw any, you know, interest or value in the other concept that was, it's just if you had any-
It seems to me that the other concept, because it'd just be a couple of short roads, would minimize the disturbance of trees and all that kind of thing. So I mean, the double cul-de-sac thing is, you know, adds a little something onto it.
Yeah,
But I
I mean,
assume
yeah,
there's gonna be some kind of a cul-de-sac down the end by the Irish forest down the end. So there'll be parking for people to access the forest down there.
Yeah.
So there was a provision made in the original plan I saw for parking area down there, but it was very small. It wasn't the size that it would need to be. I think in order to adequately serve that area.
Yeah,
Mr. Chairman, they have the plans too,
Yeah.
would help, I mean, I'm looking at all these smaller ones that are pieced together, can I just?
yeah, sure.
But my thought was that there was probably gonna be some changes made in bylaw.
Yeah, one thing, if we do,
What do you call this one?
Priscilla and Amber, I'd like to talk to DCR about providing some sort of parking area at the end of that.
That was in the original agreement that Elfish made.
Okay.
He agreed to provide a parking area down the end. But again, what he agreed to provide, my memory serves me, was very small,
Yeah,
3 cars.
okay. Yeah, I mean, we want this to be an asset, you know, bunch of people that I know in town just really enjoy going through this area. And they're telling me there's not a lot of good points to enter the park.
Right.
And this could provide one, you know,
Yeah, if you go up to the one that's like across the street from the camping area, that gets a tremendous amount. If that thing, that parking must be packed, but there's hikers and bikers and,
yeah,
you know, all kinds of people. They walk their dogs.
there's a real opportunity to improve the lifestyle
Yeah.
right in this area by.
Well, I mean, I think that, yeah, if you could do a little beautification on that end, people that live in that neighborhood that's a great walking. I'd like to have that here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, everything leads towards that, layout, but, you know, we're gonna check
But
it
the
out.
ledge is the issue.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Well, that, you know, again, that may be a negotiation we need to make with the home.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, depending on how that works out, if it doesn't,
Yeah, we'll definitely get in touch with them and see what opportunities may be.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
okay, anybody else got any questions? So if you start to make some headway on some things and you want to do an interim plan of some kind and send it to us, even though you don't come to a meeting, you just get to look at it, we'll review that.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, that would help, that would help you out a whole lot when you finally bring a definitive plan of some kind.
Yeah,
You already know what we're thinking. so.
Yeah. that would be great. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Danielle can just put it on we can just look at it and say, yeah, I like this, or.
Yeah, I'm thinking more or less, hopefully in about a month, I'll have an answer and decision on the whole Article 97 situation. And then, once that's made, we'll throw something together, shoot it off, this is what we're doing, and then, we'll go from there.
Okay.
So that would be great, if you guys could look at that.
That will work together.
Perfect.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody, for your time.
Thanks, Brendan.
Appreciate it.
Interesting thing about Harold Parker, I think, is my backyard, is that there is really the ground there, it's about that wood. And it's, the entry is pretty much right on, Marblehead. Next to my neighbor's house. Real poor signage, you wouldn't even know it's there. Yeah, there's one parking spot right there. And then it goes through and comes out in Arlene, which is like a little cul-de-sac.
Yeah, I know, that's more closer to me.
If I go up the back of my house, I'll go right into the Irish forest, right out there. You know, and go right out there to the, and come out of there.
You do that with the Bobcat or?
I used to do it with the dirt bike.
Yeah, just
Right through the wetlands.
Yeah.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
I would take it hard.
But I mean, that's literally, I mean, this is right where I was mountain biking the other day, and I was kind of thinking to myself, this is really like a underutilized section of the park.
We needed a rational approach to it, you know, and somebody that would do a professional, rational approach, and I think we're getting close to that now.
I used to deliver all of this stuff, you know, drive around and put it in mailboxes. I have to say, driving over to Pat Romeo's to put it in her mailbox and getting out of there, if you ever want to find out how scary it really is.
I agree.
For what thing go, try to come out.
Yeah, Debbie, I totally know what you
Yeah,
mean, because that's,
it's-
I'm on Duane, so I'm always pulling, I'm right near Warren, he's on Foley, so you pull out Foley, which is dangerous, that corner too, right there.
They're coming around that corner.
Yeah, I mean, that's bad, even right there, but then you get down that corner, it's really scary.
It really, and coming out of that driveway, I mean, that road it's even worse than coming around.
Yeah,
Oh,
hopefully they can
that's-
work something out with Pat, and make
Yeah.
it worth a while, I mean. She
Yeah.
knows it.
Trying to figure out the average, see how many times I can pull out of that road without getting hit. There's the probabilities.
Yeah.
You need an electric car that has just that kind of torque. Just
But I think I got something for that, so. We'll get up and
I don't know why that screen just went dark. I was just trying to make the conversation bubble leave on that screen. I'm sorry.
Ryan, are you still on?
Yes, sir.
Okay, no, we have just those one screen, it's far away, I can't see anything on it.
Let me make that bigger.
Okay, I think the only thing we got left are the ZBAs. Do we have any actual ZBAs? I didn't see any.
You don't have any ZBA, but you have to finish the liaison assignments.
Yeah, well, if there's one more thing we'll do that, we can do that at the very end.
I can just bring up to speed ZBA, Danielle, so I'm the liaison right now, at least on the ZBA. And I was in the meeting last week, so, help me, Danielle, with Main Street 142,
142.
yeah, 142 came up. And there's a lot of claims made, but I guess Gary's been filing a lot of violations and stuff, so the skinny is the 142 has, as we all know, the gas station up front formerly, but they sold it last year for $1.2 million to another buyer, so it's now owned entirely by a different person. The property that has the 13 trailers in them, they're kind of low income trailers that are, rent controlled. They put in 4 landscaping businesses, so 2 up front and the stalls right up front, kind of behind the white PVC fence. And then if you go into the development, in the corners, they have, 2 other, landscaping business areas. The applicant made the argument that, he's had to find these kind of creative ways because he's limited on what he can make on the property and he's got taxes and all this kind of stuff. So he needs to be creative. There's no argument really from anybody on that kind of stuff, but I think what it is the fire department, when they went there, they couldn't believe they didn't have a way to get out. So what happened when they sold the gas station, they cut off the access for the loop for the fire vehicles. So they made it looks like an arrangement with the owner of the gas station to put in a gate and not allow any parking there and put in a Knox box or whatever, so the fire department has, the keys. And I think that's been some sort of arrangement they've worked out. So I think that's getting close to at least being something that the fire department would accept. But the fire department wasn't and will be on the next CBA meeting to acknowledge and discuss their issues. And then the whole point of the use is another issue altogether in that, as the chairwoman, Jen Platt said, they're really not allowed those uses. So, and yet they've been in operation for a while. So she continued the meeting is number one, a lot of it because of the fire department. And then the applicant also made claims that the CPC approved their site plan to have those businesses and everything like that. And so I called Daniel the next day, I'm like, did we? She's like, no.
And
So,
we approved the site plan, but the.
It wasn't
site
that.
plan- It wasn't a special use permit. It wasn't,
Yeah.
the CPC was never responsible for deciding whether or not those uses were allowed. That was a donation.
So as I understand it, and Daniel's much smarter than me, well, they'll have the next ZBA meeting. They'll hopefully make some progress with the fire on the meeting or in the meeting. They're all Zoom on ZBA. But I think what will come out of it is they have to then come back to us, right? For a
They
site
do
plan.
need a new
Yeah.
site plan.
So that's all I was giving you a little bit of the brief on that particular applicant. So, and the other one was, just to give you guys some follow up on 77 Elm, which is technically though the lot was 4 cutter company.
4 wood cutter,
Yeah, wood cutter.
6 wood cutter. I can't remember which number.
I think it was 4 because
Maybe 4.
they go by the lots, I don't know. they were looking for a variance in the backyard. Into the 12 hole, if you will, and where their condos are, I think 12 hole, and they wanted to go from the 50 required to 35. There was quite a lot of residents that were on the meeting that were against it. That the homes that have been built to date are huge and looming over, and the lights, even with kind of light pollution proof type light, you're at that angle where even a down light is in your face, you know, because it's still up. So there's no way to there's no light fixture unless the light fixture in the back of your house to stop the light from polluting their yard and their views and stuff like that. So they were concerned. So the chairwoman was gracious enough to let them withdraw without prejudice. So they're kind of like gone, but on that, so we'll see what happens, but they might come back and whatever, but I think they made it pretty clear that most of the members on the ZBA said we're not gonna allow it. And they did ask me to speak to what you guys, because I wasn't at the meeting on the 18th, but you had put in the reviews that the ZBA does not typically grant variances or, you know, approve of or suggest variance be granted for people that just went through the subdivision process,
Right.
which we know is a long process. So that's all I reiterated, and that was it. So
That's good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dave.
Yep.
So, one other thing, we had a couple of notes in there about, Jerry Noel and his, I don't know if we wanted to discuss that at all. Other than to say that Jerry is out there doing the job, I guess.
Yeah.
He really is. He's actually been discovering a lot of situations where people have, there's a lot of storage, which is prohibited in highway business, except for when it's approved specifically through site plan review. So he's been finding violations. He's been letting me know about them. He's been sending people to me. And I've been explaining to them they need a site plan review, and most of them are not happy about it, but we're working through it. 299 Main Street needs a site plan review for the outdoor storage of vehicles and materials. 217 Main Street has a lot of outdoor storage, and they removed much of it, but they didn't remove all of it, and they want to keep some of it. So I did explain you still need a site plan review.
That was the water company, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to,
Used to be, not anymore.
yeah,
Right.
exactly, yeah, I remember.
That was PRT.
Yep.
These are all traffic lights.
Oh,
They actually, whenever a traffic light breaks in town, they're the ones that goes to fix it. They're the, got the contract,
got it, okay.
and then they do MWRA and do the, they do everybody.
That's the
They do all
go-to
the- yeah,
for traffic
yeah,
lights, huh?
yeah. And so what happened was, because I know this guy, so I talked to him and I said, listen, you know, you can't do this. So he said that what happened was he had a large job that, that got stopped,
There's all this
and
material.
all the material was supposed to be delivered to the job site. And they got there and they wouldn't let them in, and now they got these trucks with a lot of stuff on it. Well, what are they gonna do with it?
Right.
You know,
Explain to them that if there is some place they want to show on their site that is dedicated to outdoor storage, they can ask to have an
They got a
outdoor storage
fence.
area.
I said, you can't have anything out there, it's not by the fence. I mean, but in order to put the fence up, you need to have a site plan, you need to show that where the fence is gonna be, the ability permit to put it up and so forth.
And there is residents all around there, right? Because it's got a
Not
little,
really.
not really?
There's a lot of buffering, there's a lot of trees all the way around that, so there's not really much.
Oh, that's good.
They really can't see, especially in this time of year, you won't see anything.
Right, yeah,
That's,
seconds up.
yeah.
Don't mind me, I have a leg cramp.
Yeah, so that, so there was a, you know, because, there was a situation, because we didn't plan on doing that, we cleared it for something else. But, so, I mean, I guess he's trying to compare it to,
He's cleared out like Reading lumber, it looks like, right? Jerry's was successful kind of
Well, the
getting
other
all those
one-
violations,
the other
like
one was.
in the front.
Right.
Yeah, well, it looks.
What was the other one now down, the other one was the road? Horrible, and everything was down there, 142, what's the number down there? The other, what was the other one that Jerry was putting out there? So,
The one we just were talking about, 142 at the gas station.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's for the house, it wasn't the gas station, it was the house out back and all the stuff you can see.
Oh, really?
I don't know, what's that site?
What was in that side?
No, super fun.
That was the other one here, right? Wasn't there two? That was the,
Are you talking about 299?
yeah, you talked about 299? That had the portable toilet.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, all the trailers. I mean, they're not porta johns, but they're the trailer type ones. You
Yeah,
see
they're
at a wedding or, yeah, fancy, better way to say it. It's porta johns. But they still have the same technology,
Yeah.
tanks with stuff in them.
But the van, about the van.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
So I just wanted to include that correspondence just to kind of show you the kinds of things Jerry's been picking up, sharing with me. He likes me to share with the CPC when he
Yeah, that's
has a
good.
violation going on, and also just to give you a heads up that we may be seeing some of these applicants in for site plan review because they are looking to keep at least some of their extra storage, so.
Right. And are you going through any other stuff? Were you supposed to do liaison? I didn't want to.
Or do you want to do the liaisons? It's whatever you want.
Doesn't matter.
why don't you do it on some, you know, we got the list for this one. Where it is, yeah.
So Jeff, and Mr. Chairman, I'll let Jeff know, these are the liaisons to the different committees and stuff. You know, do you have that printed out?
I do.
Oh, good, okay, all right, so you see, okay.
Yep.
You can see all the different assignments, so if there's ones that you're really super interested in, you know, that, especially if, you know, the ones that Chris Hayden is not gonna be, you know, in, that would be, those would be prime ones, but you might wanna jump into one.
Well, I mean, I have to take.
You have to take select board, I get that, yeah. So, one in there.
And actually, I'm realizing that Economic Development Committee has a liaison and it's you, Dave. But I think separately, and we would have to do this as an agenda item, the CPC will need to find a new representative voting member to sit on the Economic Development. Because I think that's different from.
Yeah.
Because it used to be Chris.
Yeah, and I've been listening, but I haven't gone to one meeting or anything. So it needs to be, you're a voting member now, if you're on it? Is that how-
No, so you can attend.
Yeah,
You can obviously,
It
you're
has-
the liaison, but so Chris was the voting member, so both the select board and the CPC have to have one voting member representative that's appointed, and I would put that appointment on as a separate agenda item, like at our next meeting.
okay.
But if you want to think about it, who might
Yeah.
want to take his place as a voting member?
And Jeremiah, if you want, I mean, I am not just passionate about getting on that, like,
Does anybody
I
else?
think we were just going like this. Big card hit me in the head.
Anybody else want Conservation Commission? Cause I'll keep that, if nobody wants it. Understand ZBA Day?
Yeah, I like ZBA, it's kind of fun.
Okay.
Just a lot,
Jeremiah, you want
lot
to?
going on.
I didn't mean to take over on you.
No, that's okay. Did we do select board already?
Yeah, that's
You
boring.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, we have to.
So all the same, right through housing, right? Did you just, okay, now you're in Metro.
You want to keep-
Again, I can stay on that, but if Jeff wants, I mean, again, I'm not,
Well, Jeff,
because I like to give.
I think, honestly, I think I'm just gonna pick up the crumbs.
well,
Because
actually,
you guys-
I have a suggestion. I mean, I know you've been in town for quite a while.
Right,
And you might find this whole historical commission or historic district commission interesting. You want to give them a try?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because I mean, there's very few meetings, but it also is a good.
you have a lot of
introduction to-
perspective, Jeff.
Yeah,
On what's going on.
Yep, that's fine.
on the town. I think you might benefit from it. You know?
Okay.
Can we make the tavern really a tavern? That's always been my thing with the historical. I always say
We're gonna
that.
make it a real
Really,
tavern.
I say, can we really make it a tavern? Even just beer and wine, please. It's very close to my house. We could walk there.
Okay, finance, I mean, I don't mind staying on finance, because I'll go to the finance with you. So,
And whoever does MAPC, I go to every meeting, so it's not something you actually have to do. It's fun.
I don't think we have that on.
Steve, Ryan, would you like to stick with land utilization?
Yeah, I'll stick with my assignments unless, like I said, or Jeff or anybody else wants to step in. I'm not overly passionate about any of them, so.
Okay. School committee, Jeremiah?
Yep.
And recreation, Ryan, because that goes together with LUC.
That's fine.
And, yeah, I'll stick with wastewater. I'm afraid I'm gonna get a little embroiled in that with Joe. Not too long here.
Have you, on that note, remember when, after the town meeting, there was a lot of people that obviously were saying, what do we do next? And you had those former solutions, but I had a brief chat with Danielle, and she said a lot of that land that we had approved is kind of gone away a little bit, or some of it. Yeah,
But
Yeah, that's not, that, we still got 2.5 acres.
all right, so it's,
So there's a 104.
so you're saying there's a chance.
No, we still got 104. Well, I still understand also, we also have a site over at the DPW that's all been tested, soil tested.
Right, I remember that one you mentioned behind there, so that's intact, that hasn't changed.
That hasn't
So what's the
changed.
one, is it the Pulte one or closer up to that
that's,
area?
okay, the
That's
one that
What's wrong
was,
with it? They took about half. of it.
they gave up the entire easement area on 104, but we
Okay.
still have 102, the whole property.
102.
But I will
So it's 2.5
say,
acres. It's all sand, right?
So are you, without getting into it, this is not the discussion, but are you pursuing that with Joe?
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
the other shoe has to drop first.
what's the other show?
When we go to town meeting and ask for money to put this subject to sewer system in.
There, you think they're going back to do it again?
I think it's on
They
there.
wearing helmets?
As far as I know, there's.
It's like Team Spirit, it was like the Nevada video before, it's like, ding, 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 seeing people going down on the stands and it was great. It was one of the best town meetings I've ever been to.
They
They
put a lot
brought
of-
popcorn.
they put a lot of work, they put a lot of stuff into it, they're probably not gonna just bag it, but it's a pretty, it appears that they would not be able to get the votes to make it go through, and they don't, and the funding mechanism now is disabled.
Right,
So they would have to try to go back to some kind of, so I don't wanna mix apples and oranges,
I get it.
okay, so when the time, I've already talked to Joe about it, I said, when this whole thing settles down, we'll sit down and take a look and, move it along and, because while the whole concept is good, it would need to be rebid,
Yeah.
to make sure that the numbers will work. And we'll work on that, so. So anyway, I'll stick on wastewater, it's my, on my thing, so. Commission on Disabilities, Ryan?
Yeah, I can keep that unless,
Okay.
again, unless someone else wants to jump in.
Okay. And Dave at EDC? We just,
Again, if anyone else is interested in it, please raise your hand.
And I'm not sure what they're
Good
working
enough
on,
stuff.
I don't, I don't know what they're working on right now.
few things they're working on. We're trying to do a promotional video for the town, just to kind of market the town a bit better. They were supportive and very interested in, the sewer project in general, but, are kind of awaiting, news and
Yeah,
sort of information. They don't quite know, because they're the ones who can reach out to businesses in the community, but they don't know what the message is until, the town.
That's right.
So
that's right. So,
there's not a lot going on. I mean, they're ready to, they're ready to jump in.
we find something for them to jump in on. That's good.
Yeah.
We just don't really. Once Pulte was done, that was such a big deal, that everything else doesn't look that big, so.
Well, I mean, a potential sewer project looked pretty big, but their role has been pretty limited, and so that hasn't taken up much of their time. And then they were very interested in seeing 70 Concord Street redeveloped, the brownfield site that was
Yep.
Sterling.
I'll check, I'll go to the park.
Yeah, Holbrook Park, which I would love to take that project up again. I think it's just been a little bit stalled because no one has had time to push it forward, but that's a really interesting, brownfield redevelopment property.
That the building, just the building there?
No, that whole, the property got contaminated by, it's a high intensity soaps and stuff, and detergents, and all that down into the cleaning solution, basically.
Is it the one near MV Tractor, or am I
No,
getting
on the
mixed
other
up?
side of the street.
Yeah, that's what I mean, but on the
Yeah,
other side.
The
That blue building.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember we visited when they were doing,
Yes.
I went there when they were doing their remediation, but
Yeah.
what I'm getting at is, so I just thought of it being the building, so is it more than that? Is there a lot more land? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, this land, yeah.
Cause it seemed like it seems great if we could ever do something, but it seemed like a postage stamp right on the corner there.
Properties that are big enough, people are really interested in it. People really want that site, but it's really contaminated. So every.
Well, the problem with taking it on is that you take it on, take on the responsibility of cleaning it up. Or maintaining the clean up, because it's, you know, my understanding is they said it's gonna take, you know, a millennium in order to properly clean it, but it's an ongoing process.
Or a long-term investment. Obviously.
Yeah, so yeah, long-term investment. Obviously, get your kids to buy in.
But doesn't it, I mean, you have an activity use limitation though, right? I mean, it's industrial, right? And you
Well-
set up the wells or whatever.
I
they're-
know, you know, up in Haverhill, for example, I know that they had all the tanneries along the side of the river there, because they were using the water, and then and of course, the chemicals they used to handle were just horrible. So when they finally tore all those down, they just dug it down 35 feet with a layer of clay, filled it all back in again, built the building on it. And that's what you see there now. As
Really?
original.
They were, National Grid used to have to deal with contaminated sites all the time,
Yeah,
and they cap everything.
you know, they just capped it.
Yeah, they just cap it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then leave it barren.
Yeah.
Yep, it's because the cost is just, you know, way too much. Make a parking lot out of it.
One of the challenges with this site is that the contamination is in the groundwater and it's such a depth that it was right on the Ipswich River, so it's still there. I think there are still chemicals.
Yeah,
And there's no way to.
Because it's all sand and gravel, it's nice sand. Well, that's what ruined our wells across the street here. We was part of it. Other than what GE or whatever they did down there. But, yeah, but it's all sand and gravel, so the water travel and stuff is riding on the water table. So, I mean, they're trying to clean it up, but some of it's soluble, and
Mess.
all you can do is just keep pulling water out until it starts coming out clean enough to call it done.
I saw some of the equipment, so is that the kind of, you pull it out and then steam it, like evaporate it,
Yeah.
almost condense it back to DI and then it goes right back.
Take the chemicals out of there. Yeah, another way to do it.
Well, the way to do it, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
Oil would be a blessing.
Okay, so does anybody else want economic development committee, or you want to let this Dave keep it for now?
Dave, if you really want to get rid of it, buddy,
If you want
I'll jump on
it,
it.
yeah, I'll give it to you.
Someone to actually be the member,
That's-
which
that's-
I think is.
That's probably a good one for you too, I think.
So like you said, we'll have to do a vote.
I'll
for the
put that on the
member, and
agenda.
then there's the liaison, right, I get it.
Yeah,
But at least Jeff can at least start with the liaison,
Yeah.
right?
yeah, and it can be the same person.
Yeah, it can be the same person, yeah, so we'll just do that for now.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I'm finding like just the ZBA, it's like, those are long meetings, and I'm doing everything I can. Like everybody here, you got different stuff going on, like I don't wanna just commit to something and then, hey, he never shows up, but. We have that excuse for a lot of things, like, you can't do it all.
Can't even do both.
Yeah. What's convenient too, and I can't speak to actually economic, but they're on Zoom, ZBA is Zoom, so it's a little easier. You can kind of just stay in your office or home if you can do them all. Meeting, so anyways.
Don't anybody go anywhere.
Danielle, she's giving us updates, I think.
Yeah, we have.
Tons of stuff going on right there now.
Not a lot, but I have a couple of things I want to mention.
Oh, wait, just go back to liaisons, historic district and historical commission, I got one, but I,
Both are Jeff.
okay, thank you.
So May 22nd is the select board's informational hearings for warrant articles. We have 2 warrant articles on the town meeting agenda for June, or warrant for June. The ADA plan request for $150,000 to complete the ADA plan. And $25,000 for technical assistance for MBTA communities. I will be there on May 22nd. It'd be great if someone else can be there. You don't all have to be there, but if someone else can come, that would be great. Town meeting's June 5th. And, I just wanted to update you. I had on the affordable housing overlay district parcels that we were working on. It took a really long time to get a wetlands scientist and a surveyor on board to actually flag those properties. These were the properties that we found on properties zoned for affordable housing. Habitat for Humanity was very interested in them. 57 Haverhill Street, 44 and 46 Oakdale Road, and 7 St. Teresa Street. Those properties, so the feedback we got from primarily the abutters at 57 Haverhill Street was because they didn't want to see the whole property developed, and neither did we. They wanted to see the wetlands flagged and, potentially an A&R plan to cut off the part that would not be developed and to have it permanently protected, and then just look at a development proposal for the rest of it. So we agreed to do that for all the 4 parcels that we were looking at. And so the wetlands have been flagged for the Oakdale properties. They've been flagged for St. Teresa's. And I think this week, they're going to be doing 57 Haverhill Street. And
So
then
picking them up too, or just right now flagging?
so Norse is doing the flagging, Luke Roy is doing the survey.
Yeah.
So, I've been letting him know as I'm hearing from Norse, which ones are flagged. He's gonna be getting going on the surveys pretty soon, and so then we'll have some options to,
He's not really doing too much of it himself anymore.
I'm sorry,
He's not doing that much of the flagging himself anymore.
I don't know him.
I know him pretty well.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got some people who work for him. This one girl comes out, does pretty good.
Oh, okay, it was Maureen Harold who did the flagging for Norse.
Yeah, she's pretty good.
Yeah.
Because I worked on some sites that she's done. Call it right on, I would say.
So hopefully, that'll be something we can start working on a bit in the summer to try to get a game plan together, maybe communicate, maybe have another meeting with the neighborhood to say, all right, like we have flagged out where the wetland areas are. We propose taking off this part of the property and, hanging on to it for conservation purposes. What do you think? Could you see yourself supporting something like this at town meeting?
Danielle, I have a question for you. What were the addresses that were affected?
Sure. So 44 and 46 Oakdale Road, 57 Haverhill Street, and 7 St. Teresa Street.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. And that's about all I have. Oh, I do have a positive update on Charles Street. I drove through there 2 weeks ago, and it was actually in better shape than it was. The erosion controls and the, silt socks and the, catch basins were not quite the catastrophe they had been, during the winter. And I asked the conservation agent if she had been by the site too, and she said, yes, I actually think things are pretty much okay right now. So that's actually a gigantic improvement over where we were a few months ago. So I just wanted to let you know that it's slightly improved. It may not have been done by the person who owns the road. It may have been done by the homeowners and their contractors who are building homes, but
Right.
it's getting done, so it's kind of all I care about.
Yeah, there's a lot of water. That's a water nightmare out there, so. Okay, we have nothing else, and I guess we can adjourn.
My turn.
Oh, your turn. I'm sorry.
Please don't forget to sign the A&R.
Okay.
Don't forget to sign the papers I gave
All
you.
done.
I also have a tripartite agreement that needs to be signed by you
Okay.
for 77 Oak Street. We have to,
No changes to it, just a renewal.
Okay.
not,
And Deb, you were also, but I think you didn't need us to bring them, but you were mentioning receipts or something for the
Oh,
webinar.
the training, yeah.
Yeah, or just to talk about it. I mean, I signed up. I don't know if anyone, did you sign up?
I took a look at it. I gotta see the dates.
Yeah, it's, yeah, 'cause it's during the day and, it has to work, but,
Thank you.
I think
I said you might.
Yeah, you sign your schedule.
I think you basically just need something
No,
printed
you-
off.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah, I signed those.
Did you look at it?
Why, does it say? I don't say that, I just signed it and sent it on, calling me out. You're as bad as I was. It's a Crestwood.
Sorry. No, I wasn't. But
That's
that was
true.
good. Brian, before you hang up, can you at some point please come into the office and sign the minutes for me?
Sounds good. I'll swing by Friday, Debbie.
So we gotta
Okay.
sign that.
I won't be here, but.
Jeff, okay, whenever it's like one of these plans, it's like a Mylar and they're, I think that, is that just the Mylar? But anyways, we all just sign it.
Yes.
Like I said, because we hear, I'm not signing.
I think we have Tyler and a paper.
Watch, it's wacky. I don't
Um,
care if they even say it automatically becomes one, it's like, okay, you know, like me,
You still
I'm
have
not
to
gonna
change
play
it
city hall, but I'm not signing, I'm not putting mine down. So, so.
Well, here's what we're gonna do.
attorney told
It says
Please, God.
review.
No, I understand, but
You just-
but the problem I would have is, why can't you just make it a 40,000 square foot lot?
Exactly.
You guys figured out, you see it, how much it is, you saw the delta, it's like 300 something square feet, it's ridiculous, when they can go like this. That's all they have to do, because we don't, I acknowledge in a way, we don't have. They're making you.
Oh, really?
Good luck, you know, so then, good luck to the owner, if they ever want to do anything, they're like, you're out of the plans and two different things. But you're right.
Alright, I'm going to end the Zoom. We done?
Done.
Alright. Good night, everyone.
So I have to sign that?